Hari Hari. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text 15. We have been reading the section where Shaunak Rishi, he wants to know why was Bhagavatam spoken, who spoke it originally. He's asking about Sukadev Goswami, he's asking about Vyasadev. He's putting all these questions to Sutta Goswami. Sakadachit Sarasvatya
Sa kadachit sarasvatya
Upasprisya Jalam Shuchihi
upasprisya jalam suchihi
Vivikta Eka Asina
vivikta eka asina
Udite Ravi Mandale
udite ravimandale.
Neetu, you'll read?
Yeah. Translation. Once upon a time, he, Vyasadeva, as the sun rose, took his morning ablution in the waters of the Saraswati and sat alone to concentrate. Purport. The river Saraswati is flowing in the Badari Kashrama area of Himalayas. So the place indicated here is Samyaprasa in
Badrika Ashram.
Samyaprasa in Badrika Ashram where Vyasadeva is residing.
So Badrika Ashram is where Nārada and Rishis are there. And that's where Srila Vyasadeva is sitting there. Paravaragya Sarishihi
Paravaragna Sharishihi
Kalena Vyaktaram Hasa
Kalena Vyaktaram Hasa
Yuga Dharma Vyatikaram
Yugadharma Vyatikaram
Praptam Bhuvi Yuge Yuge
Praptam Bhuvi Yuge Yuge. Translation. The great sage Vyasadeva saw anomalies in the duties of the millennium. This happens on the earth in different ages due to the unseen force of time. Purport. The great sages like Vyasadeva are liberated souls and therefore they can see clearly past and future. Thus he could see the future anomalies in the Kali age and accordingly he made arrangement for the people in general so that they can execute a progressive life in this age which is full of darkness. The people in general in this age of Kali are too much interested in matter which is temporary. Because of ignorance, they are unable to evaluate the assets of life and be enlightened in spiritual knowledge.
So Vyasadeva is a great personality, is empowered incarnation of the Supreme Lord. And he could see that, some unusual signs. Okay, the age of Kali is coming, so the signs looked not very good. He could see that. And so what he wanted to do, so that he could understand that this age is going to be full of ignorance. People won't be able to do much spiritual practices. So for our benefit, he wanted to give us a clear way out of the material world, to give us spiritual knowledge. Bhautikānam cha bhavanam
Bhauti Kanam cha Bhavanam
Shakti rasam cha tatkritam
Shakti Rasam Chatakratam
Ashraddhana nihisatvan
Ashraddhadhanan Nisatvan
Durmedan Rasita Yusaha.
Durmedhan Rashi Yusa.
Durbhagamscha Janan Vikshya.
Durbhagamscha Janan Vikshya.
Munir Divyena Chakshusha.
Munir Divyena Chakshusha.
Sarva Varnashramanam Yad.
Sarva Varnashramanam Yad.
Tadyo Hitam Amogadre.
Dadhai Dadyo Hitam Amogadre. Translation. The great sage, who was fully equipped in knowledge, could see through his transcendental vision the deterioration of everything material due to the influence of the age. He could also see that the faithless people in general would be reduced in duration of life and would be impatient due to the lack of goodness. Thus he contemplated for the welfare of men in all statuses and orders of life. Purport. The unmanifested forces of time are so powerful that they reduce all matter to oblivion in due course. In Kali Yuga, the last millennium of around of 4 millenniums, the power of all material objects deteriorates by the influence of time. In this age, the duration of the material body of the people in general is much reduced, and so is the memory. The action of matter has also not so much insensitive. The land does not produce food grains in the same proportion as it did in other ages. The cow does not give as much milk as it used to give formerly. The production of vegetables and fruits is less than before. As such, all living beings, both men and animals, do not have sumptuous, nourishing food. Due to want of so many necessities of life, naturally the duration of life is reduced. The memory is short, intelligence is meager, mutual dealings are full of hypocrisy, and so on.
So time in the material world, time deteriorates matter. With time, everything vanishes. We have a birth date, we have expiry date. So the clock starts ticking. We have manufacture date, expiry date, like that. So similarly, with time, as Kali Yuga is the last of the 4 millenniums, with the time, everything is deteriorating. The earth is giving less food grains, cows are giving lesser milk. So there is comparatively to before. So that's why people's lives are also shorter, people's intelligence are also shorter, memory is shorter. There's more ignorance in this age. So mutual dealings are full of hypocrisy. In the earlier ages, it was not like that.
The great sage Vyasadeva could see this by his transcendental vision, as an astrologer can see the future fate of a man, or an astronomer can foretell the solar and lunar eclipses. These liberated souls who can see through the scriptures can foretell the future of all mankind. They can see this due to their sharp vision of spiritual attainment.
So seeing through the eyes of the scripture, Shastra Chakshu, seeing through the eyes of the scripture, because he is spiritually enlightened, he can understand what's going to come.
And all such transcendentalists who are naturally devotees of the Lord are always eager to render welfare services to the people in general. They are the real friends of the people in general, not the so called public leaders who are unable to see what is going to happen 5 minutes ahead. In this age, the people in general, as well as their so called leaders, are all unlucky fellows, faithless in spiritual knowledge and influenced by the age of Kali. They are always disturbed by various diseases. For example, in the present age, there are so many TB patients and TB hospitals. But formerly, this was not so because the time was not so unfavorable. The unfortunate men of this age are always reluctant to give a reception to the transcendentalists who are representatives of Srila Vyasadeva and selfless workers always busy in planning something which may help everyone in all statuses and orders of life. The great philanthropists are those transcendentalists who represent the mission of Vyasa, Narada, Madhva, Chaitanya, Rupa, Saraswati, etc. They are all one and the same. The personalities may be different, but the aim of the mission is one and the same, namely to deliver the fallen souls back home, back to Godhead.
So the transcendentalists, the devotees, they are eager to see that everyone is happy, everyone is peaceful, and everyone is making spiritual progress. This is what the compassion, the pure devotee is the most compassionate, real friend of everyone, because they want everyone to get out of this material world, live peacefully in this life, at the same time cultivate spiritual knowledge, and at the end of life, go back home, back to Godhead. So a few special signs of this age of Kali. We don't have faith, we are less fortunate, we don't have spiritual knowledge, we have so many diseases. At that time when Prabhupada was present, TB was there, but now we can see there's so many other diseases. Like before, we wouldn't hear so much about cancer. Now we hear so much about that. So many so many new diseases keep coming up. Never heard of COVID before. And the whole world was paralyzed almost because of COVID. But the pure devotee, he is the greatest philanthropist, because their aim is to bring everyone back home, back to Godhead. So Prabhupada is saying those who are following in the footsteps of Vyas, Nārada, Madhva, Chaitanya, Rupa, Saraswati, they are the greatest philanthropists. Chaturhotram karma shuddham.
Chaturhotram karma shuddham.
Prajanam vikshya vaidikam.
Prajana vikshya vaidikam.
Vyadadhat yagya santatyai.
Vyadadat yajna santatyai.
Vedam ekam chaturvidham.
Vedam ekam chaturvidham. Translation. He saw that the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas were means by which the people's occupations could be purified, and to simplify the process, he divided the one Veda into four in order to expand them among men. Purport. Formerly there was only the Veda of the name Yajur, and the four divisions of sacrifices were there specifically mentioned. But to make them more easily performable, the Veda was divided into four divisions of sacrifice, just to purify the occupational service of the four orders. About the four Vedas, namely Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva, there are the Puranas, the Mahabharata, Samhitas, etc., which are known as the fifth Veda. Sri Vyasadeva and his many disciples were all historical personalities, and they were very kind and sympathetic toward the fallen souls of this age of Kali. As such, the Puranas and Mahabharata were made from related historical facts which explain the teaching of the four Vedas. There is no point in doubting the authority of the Puranas and Mahabharata as parts and parcels of the Vedas. In the Chandogya Upanishad, the Puranas and Mahabharata generally known as histories, are mentioned as the fifth Veda. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, that is the way of ascertaining the respective values of the revealed scriptures.
So before Ved was one, and people would do the sacrifices in the Vedas to purify themselves. but for the process of purification. So because Vedas could see that, the age is coming of Kali, people are ignorant, don't know much spiritual values, have no faith, have very short lives. So he divided the one Ved, which was called Yajur, into four. Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva. Just for our easy, like we see one big book, everything all together. But suddenly, if it gets organized for us in different sections nicely, it was all there before. It was all there. These four sections, divisions were there, but he actually divided it in like kind of organized it. And then he wrote also, of course, the Puranas, the Mahabharata. It's called the fifth Ved. They call the fifth Vedas for us to understand what is being said in the Vedas. So these stories are real stories. It's not fiction or, no, they're real. They're what has happened. So to give us the teachings from that so that we can learn. That's why he wrote the explanations as Mahabharata, Puranas, and Chandogya Upanishad is saying that Puranas and Mahabharata are the fifth Ved. So the Vedas also they will say, okay, the one scripture will say that yes, the other scripture is authentic. That's how we understand that these are revealed scriptures. Rig Yaju Sama Tharvakya
Rig, Yajur, Samatharvakya,
Vedaschattvara Udrita
Vedas Chatvara Udrita,
Itihas Puranam Cha
Itihas Puranam Cha,
Panchamo Veda Uchyate.
Panchamo Veda Uchyate. Translation. The four divisions of the original sources of knowledge, the Vedas, were made separately, but the historical facts and authentic stories mentioned in the Puranas are called the fifth Veda.
Hmm. So the Puranas are the fifth Ved. It's all having the stories of really what has happened. Tatrak Veda Dharapaila
Tatrak Veda Dharapaila,
Samago Jaimini Kavihi
Samago Jaimini Kavihi,
Veshampayana Evaiko
Vaishampayana Evaiko,
Nishnato Yajusam Uta.
Nishnato Yajusam Uta. Translation. After the Vedas were divided into four divisions, Paila Rishi became the professor of the Rig Veda, Jamini the professor of the Sama Veda, and the Vaishampayana alone became glorified by the Yajur Veda. Purport. The different Vedas were entrusted to different learned scholars for development in various ways.
So after Vedvyas, he divided it. He's giving different great authorities to teach the Vedas, to share, to teach what's there in the Vedas to others. And okay. Atharvang Girasam Ase
Atharvangiram Girasam Aset
Sumantur Daruno Munihi
Sumantur Daruno Munihi
Itihas Purananam
Itihasa Purananam
Pitame Roma Harshanaha.
Pitame Roma Harshana. Translation. The Sumantu Muni Angira, who was very devotedly engaged, was entrusted with the Atharva Veda. And my father, Roma Harshana, was entrusted with the Puranas and and historical records. Purport. In the Shruti mantras also, it is stated that Angira Muni, who strictly followed the rigid principles of the Atharva Veda, was the leader of the followers of the Atharva Veda.
So here Sut Goswami is speaking. So he's saying, okay, the Atharva Veda was taught by Angira Muni, and Roma Harshan was the teacher of Puranas. Roma Harshan was the father. Roma Harshan Sutta was the father of Sutta Goswami. The Eta Rishayo Vedam.
Hare Krishna, just one question.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Is he the same Roma Harshan who's killed by Balramji?
Yes.
Or is he different? Some other?
Is the same. Is the same.
It's the same Roma Harshan Rishi. Right?
Yeah, because Rom Harshan, he was killed, and his son, Sutta Goswami, became the speaker. That's what we hear in Lord Balaram's pastime.
Okay. So he's the same person, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Eta Rishayo Vedam
The Eta Rishayo Vedam
Swamsam Vyasyan Anekadha
Swam
Swam
Vyasayan
Vyasyam
Anekada
Anekada
Shishye Parish Yes Takshasya
Shishye Pratishyeta Shishye
Shishye
Vedaste Sakhino Bhavan.
Vedaste
Vedaste
Sakhino
Sakhinom
Bhavan.
Bhavan. Translation. All these learned scholars, in their turn, rendered their entrusted Vedas unto their many disciples, grand disciples, and great grand disciples. And thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being. Purport. The original source of knowledge is the Vedas. There are no branches of knowledge, either mundane or transcendental, which do not belong to the original text of the Vedas. They have simply been developed into different branches. They were originally rendered by great, respectable, and learned professors. In other words, the Vedic knowledge broken into different branches by different disciplic successions have been distributed all over the world. No one, therefore, can claim independent knowledge beyond the Vedas.
So any knowledge that exists here, the origin is the Vedas. It's coming from the Vedas. It could be spiritual knowledge, it could be material knowledge, but it's coming from the Ved. And these different authorities who were given in charge of the Vedas, they in turn, they taught it to their disciples taught it to their disciples. They became like specializations, different, what do you say, like how you have different subjects, different specializations. So everything is coming from Ved. Whatever knowledge is there, material knowledge also, it's coming from the Vedas, like medicine or astrology, astronomy, knowledge of space, knowledge of medicine, anything, everything is coming from.
Knowledge of science, everything. उसमें चारों वेदास में कोई भी ऐसी बात नहीं है दुनिया में जो इन वेदा में नहीं है, सारा है.
Yes, thank you.
पूरी दुनिया क्योंकि हम तो हमारे ऋषियों ने तो बात पहले ही कह दिया था, अब भी दूसरे साइंटिस्ट और ये सब अब भी कह रहे हैं सब कुछ.
Yeah, that's right. सही है. So eva Veda durmedhe.
The Eva Veda Durmidher.
Dharyante purusharyatha.
Dharyante purusharyatha.
Evam chakara bhagavan.
Evam chakara bhagwan.
Vyasa kripana vatsala. I'm sorry.
Vyasa karpana vatsala.
Thus, the great sage Vyasadeva, who was very kind to the ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated by less intellectual men. Oh, I'm sorry. Please read.
That's okay. Translation. Oh, no, I'll read from the purport. Yeah. The Ved Translation, that the great sage Vyasadeva, who was very kind to the ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated by less intellectual men. Purport. The Veda is one, and the reasons for its divisions in many parts are explained herewith. The seed of all knowledge, or the Veda, is not a subject matter which can easily be understood by any ordinary man. There is a stricture that no one should try to learn the Vedas who is not a qualified Brahmana. The stricture has been wrongly interpreted in so many ways. A class of men who claim Brahmanical qualification simply by their birthright in the family of a Brahmana claim that the study of the Vedas is a monopoly of the Brahmana caste only. Another section of the people take this as an injustice to members of other castes who do not happen to take birth in a Brahmana family, but both of them are misguided. The Vedas are subjects which had to be explained even to Brahmaji by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the subject matter is understood by persons with exceptional qualities of goodness. Persons who are in a mode of passion and ignorance are unable to understand the subject matter of the Vedas. The ultimate goal of Vedic knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. This personality is very rarely understood by those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance. In the Satya Yuga, everyone was situated in the mode of goodness. Gradually, the mode of goodness declined during the Treta and Dwapar Yugas, and the general mass of people became corrupt. In the present age, the mode of goodness is almost nil. And so, for the general mass of people, the kind hearted, powerful sage Vyasadeva divided the Vedas in various ways so that they may be practically followed by less intelligent persons in the mode of passion and ignorance. It is explained in the next shloka as follows.
So the way we need to understand the Vedas, one has to be really very, very qualified in the mode of goodness, very sharp intelligence to be able to understand what the Vedas are saying. Vedasya sarver ahameva vedya. Krishna says, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. He says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15. So, but to understand the Vedas, one has to be very intelligent. To understand Krishna, one has to be in the mode of goodness, has to be very intelligent. Now, Kali Yuga, Srila Vyasadeva knew, he knew that we are mostly in the mode of passion and ignorance. So we will not be able to understand the Vedic language. So he wanted to simplify things for us. So otherwise, where would we go? How would we get out of this material world, understand the goal of life? Sri Shudra Dvija Bandhunam
Sri Shudra Dwij Bandhadhunam
Raina Shruti Gochara
Traina Shruti Gochara
Karma Shreyasi Mudhana
Karma
Karma
Shreyasi
Shreyasi Mudhanam
Shreya Evam Bhavet Iha
Shreya
Shreya Evam Bhavedeha
Iti Bharatam Akyanam
Iti
Iti
Bharatam
Bharatanam
Akhyanam
Akhyanam
Kripaya Munina Kritam.
Kripiya
Kripta
Munina
Munina
Kritam.
Kritam. Anyone else wants to read?
Okay, I can. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Translation. Out of compassion, the great sage thought it was that this would enable man to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus, he compiled the great historical narration called the Mahabharata for women, laborers, and friends of the twice born. Purport. The friends of twice born families are those who are born in the families of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, or the spiritually cultured families. Sorry, 1 minute. But who themselves are not equal to their forefathers. Such descendants are not recognized as such. For want to purificatory achievements. Purificatory activities begin even before the birth of a child, and the seed-giving reformatory process is called Garbhadhan Samskara. One who has not undergone such a Garbhadhan Samskara or spiritual family planning is not accepted as being an actual twice born family. The Garbhadhan Samskara is followed by other purificatory processes, out of which the scare thread ceremony is one. This is performed at the time of spiritual initiation. After this particular samskara, one is rightly called twice born. One birth is calculated during the seed-giving samskara, and the second birth is calculated at the time of spiritual initiation. One who has been able to undergo such important sanskaras can be called a bona fide twice born.
So here we are understanding why did Srila Vyasadeva compile Mahabharata. He's saying because of people who will not be able to understand. In your Kali Yuga, Bhagavatam says everyone is born a Shudra. So we won't be able to understand the Vedas. So for our easy understanding, for the goal of life, to understand Krishna, he compiled the Mahabharata. So it's written here, women laborers, friends of twice born. Here Srila Prabhupada is explaining who are friends of twice born. That they're coming from Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya families, but who didn't undergo the purificatory process. They're not done. They're not born with the Garbhadhan Samskar as at the time of conception, at the time of conceiving, and probably not also the initiation, the sacred thread ceremony. So they are called friends, Dvija Bandhu, because they are coming from these families. Their forefathers were twice born, but they themselves are not. That's why they are called friends or twice born.
If the father and the mother do not undertake the process of spiritual family planning and simply beget children out of the passion only, their children are called Dvija Bandhus. These Dvija Bandhus are certainly not as intelligent as the children of the regular twice born families. The Dvija Bandhus are classified with the Sudras and the women class, who are by nature less intelligent. The Shudras and the women class do not have to undergo any sanskar save and accept the ceremony of marriage.
So it's the Brahmanas actually, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, they would be having the Garbhadhan Samskar, and they would have the initiation ceremony. Now, friends of Dvija Bandhu, as we heard, is those who are not conceived by doing the Garbhadhan. So we can see almost everyone is in that category then, in this Kali Yuga. So here, and it's being said that the Dvija Bandhus are not so intelligent as the children who are conceived by doing the Garbhadhan Samskar, because by doing the Garbhadhan Samskar, then we are attracting that the soul who is really very more intelligent, more qualified. for the soul to take birth, you know. So those who have not done it, then the quality of soul that gets attracted to the womb is not as intelligent as one who gets attracted by doing the garbha samskar. So here it's mentioned the Shudras and the women don't have to do any other samskar except marriage.
The less intelligent classes of men, namely women, Sudras and unqualified sons of the higher castes, are devoid of necessary qualifications to understand the purpose of the transcendental Vedas. For them, the Mahabharata was prepared. The purpose of the Mahabharata is to administer the purpose of Vedas, and therefore within this Mahabharata, the summary Veda of Bhagavad Gita is placed. The less intelligent are more interested in stories than in philosophy, and therefore the philosophy of the Vedas in the form of Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Lord Sri Krishna. Vyasadeva and Lord Krishna are both on the transcendental plan, and therefore they collaborated in doing good to the fallen souls of this age. The Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. It is the first book of spiritual values, as the Upanishads are. The Vedanta philosophy is the subject matter for study by spiritual graduates. Only the postgraduate spiritual student can enter into spiritual or devotional service of the Lord. It is a great science, and the great professor is the Lord Himself in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the persons who are empowered by Him can initiate others in the transcendental loving service of the Lord.
So here we are understanding. So because we don't have this intelligence to understand the Vedic knowledge, to understand, oh, the Vedas all want us to come to the platform of understanding Krishna, engaging in devotional service. By studying the Vedas, we won't be able to understand it. We do not have, in Kali Yuga, we do not have that capacity. Just like a child, he is only 6 years old, so he's in the first grade, and we try to teach him PhD math. You know, it's not going to be able to do it. It's beyond his capacity. So it has to be explained to him. The principles of math are to be explained to him in a very simple manner. So similarly, Mahabharata, Srila Vyasadeva compiled for us, because we will not be able to understand the Vedic knowledge, but by stories, by histories, we can understand. And the Bhagavad Gita is the most essential part of Mahabharata. He put the Bhagavad Gita there. And the essence of the Vedas is there in Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's like giving a candy, like a medicine to a child, which is coated in candy, you know. So just so the child can take the medicine, the sweet is also given. So Bhagavad Gita is the real thing that Vyasadeva wanted to give us. And he put it in the Mahabharata, so we will be attracted to read the Bhagavad Gita. So here, Vedanta philosophy, Vedanta is study for the spiritual graduates, and one who has understood Vedanta will understand that the purpose is what? To understand we are spirit souls, part and parcel of God. So what you have to do? Engage in devotional service. So this is postgraduate spiritual science. And Prabhupada is saying, Lord Krishna is teaching us this science when he came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his followers, they are preaching this message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world, engaging everyone in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Is that okay? Any questions, comments? Evam pravrittasya sada
Evam pravritasya sada
bhutanam shreyasi dvijaha
bhutanam shreyashi yudvicha
sarvatmakenapi yada
sarvatmakenapi yada
na tushyad hridayam tata.
Na
natu
atushtatridayam
dashyadridam
tataha.
tata. Translation. O twice born Brahmanas, still his mind was not satisfied, although he engaged himself in working for the total welfare of all people. Purport. Sri Vyasdev was not satisfied with himself, although he had prepared literatures of Vedic value for all around welfare of the general mass of people. It was expected that he would be satisfied by all such activities, but ultimately he was not satisfied.
So see, he compiled the Ved, then he divided the Ved, then the Puranas, then Mahabharata, and yet he is not satisfied. The Upanishads, he is not yet satisfied. All this he is doing for our benefit. Huh? Nati prasiddhat hridaya
Na ati prasidata hridaya
Vidya
saraswatyas tate shucho
sarasvatya tate shucho
Sucho
vitarkayan viviktastha
vitarkayan
Vitarkayan
vibhaktastha
Vivistastha
idam chovacha dharmavet.
idam cho
Idam
uvacha
Chovacha Dharmavi. Translation. Thus the sage, being dissatisfied at heart, at once began to reflect because he knew the essence of religion, and he said within himself, Purport. The sage began to search out the cause of not being satisfied at heart. Perfection is never attained until one is satisfied at heart. This satisfaction of heart has to be searched out beyond matter.
So he's wondering, why is he not feeling satisfied? What happened? What happened? Drita vratena himaya
Dhrita
drita
vratena himaya
chandamsi guravot
chandamasi
guravognya
guru griha
shamdamsi guruvo agnayah
manita nirvyalikena
manita
manita nirvalikena
grihitam chanuशासनम
grahitam cha
grihatam
anushasanam
chanuktasanam
bharata vyapadeshena
bharata vipadeshena
bharatapardeshena
hi amnayarthascha pradarshitah
hi
हे
amnya
amnya
arthasya
arthasya cha
pradarshitah
pradarshita
drishyate yatra dharmadi
drishyate
दृश्यते
dharma
धर्म धर्म
adi
स्त्री शूद्रादिभिर अपि उत
istri
स्त्री
shudra adi
शूद्रादि
api
अपि
uttah
उता Translation. I have under strict disciplinary vows unpretentiously worshipped the Vedas, the spiritual masters, and the altar of sacrifice. I have also abided by the rulings and have shown the import of disciplic succession through the explanation of the Mahabharata, by which even women, Sudras, and others, friend of the twice born, can see the path of religion. Purport. No one can understand the import of Vedas without having undergone a strict disciplinary vow and disciplic succession. The Vedas, as spiritual masters, and sacrificial fire must be worshipped by the desiring candidate. All these intricacies of Vedic knowledge are symmetrically presented in the Mahabharata for the understanding of the woman class, the laborer class, and the unqualified members of Brahmana, Kshatriyas, or Vaishya families. In this age, the Mahabharata is more essential than the original Vedas.
So Vyasadeva is saying that, he's undergone this proper discipline. He's coming in the disciplic succession. He's following the religious principles. He knows what is the purpose of the religion. And he's explained this in Mahabharata, by which everyone in this world can understand. Because, he's written Mahabharata specifically for the Dvija Bandhu, the friends of the twice born. So here now, everyone is friends of the twice born or coming in the Shudra class or women class. So he's explained the Vedas in Mahabharata because he's put Bhagavad Gita there. That's the focal point. The main part of Mahabharata is Bhagavad Gita. Tathapi bata medhayo.
Tadhapi vat me dehayu.
Hi atma chevatmana vibhu.
Hi atma cha eva atmana vibhu.
Asampana iva bhati.
Asampana iva bhati.
Brahma varchasya sattama.
Brahma varchasya sattamah.
Translation: I am feeling incomplete, though I myself and am fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas. Purport: undoubtedly, Srila Vyasadeva was complete in all the details of Vedic achievements. Purification of the living being submerged in matter is made possible by the prescribed activities in the Vedas. But the ultimate achievement is different. Unless it is attained, the living being, even though fully equipped, cannot be situated in the transcendently normal stage. Srila Vyasadeva appeared to have lost the clue and therefore felt dissatisfaction.
So he's feeling that, even though he's made Mahabharata, he's written Mahabharata, but people may not understand that the aim of Mahabharata he wrote was so that people could study Bhagavad Gita. One may can just get involved in the politics and in the stories and everything else without realizing, oh, the main point Mahabharata is actually for Bhagavad Gita because it's coming inside the text. It's a small portion of the complete text of Mahabharata. So he's feeling that, okay, he wants to guide people out of this world, but he's still not happy with the work he's given everyone. Kimva Bhagavata Dharma.
Kim va bhagavata dharma
Na prayena nirupita.
Na
न
prayena
निरूपपिता
Priya param hamsanam.
priya
प्रिया
param
परम हम सामना सानम
Ta eva hi achyuta priya.
te
इव है अच्युत प्रिया.
Translation: this may be because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to perfect beings and to infallible Lord. Purport: the dissatisfaction which was being felt by Srila Vedvyasa is expressed here in his own words. This was felt for the normal condition of the living being in the devotional service of the Lord. Unless one is fixed in the normal condition of service, neither the Lord nor the living being can become fully satisfied. This defect was felt by him when Narad Muni, his spiritual master, reached him. It is described as follows.
So now he's thinking that maybe because a person, because he did all this, he said, I'm doing welfare for everyone who's coming, to give them the principles of religion, give them how to act, how to get out of the world. But he's feeling now dissatisfaction that he did not clearly mention engage in devotional service. And it's only by engaging in devotional service that actually all living entities can feel satisfied, peaceful, and happy. And that is what is pleasing to the Lord also. So now he's thinking maybe it's because of that, because Vedic language is flowery language. It's very distractive. Mahabharata also he's given, but one will not be able to understand. One may just get caught up in the politics and the story. It's not clearly said, or engage in devotional service. So this is what he's thinking. Oh, maybe it's that. And then Narad Muni has come now. Tasyevam khilam atmanam
Tasyevyam khilam atmanam
manyamanasya khidyata
manyamanasya khidyata
krishnasya narado bhyagat
Krishnasya narado bhagyat
ashramam prag udharitam.
ashramam pragudharatam.
Translation. As mentioned before, Narada reached the cottage of Krishna Dwapayana Vyas on the banks of the Saraswati, just as Ved Vyas was regretting his defects. Purport. The vacuum felt by Vyasdev was not due to his lack of knowledge. Bhagavad Dharma is purely devotional service of the Lord, to which the monist has no access. The monist is not counted amongst the Paramahamsas, the most perfect of the renounced order of life. Srimad Bhagavatam is fully narrations of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Although Vyasadeva was an empowered divinity, he still felt dissatisfaction because in none of his works were the transcendental activities of the Lord properly explained. The inspiration was infused by Sri Krishna directly in the heart of Vyasadeva, and thus he felt the vacuum as explained above. It is definitely expressed here that without the transcendental loving service of the Lord, everything is void. But in the transcendental service of the Lord, everything is tangible without any separate attempt at fruitive work or empiric philosophical speculation.
Kushla Vyasadev, he is on the transcendental platform. He has no reason to feel dissatisfied. He's a liberated soul. He's the empowered incarnation of Krishna. So there was no reason for him to feel dissatisfied. It's not that he is in ignorance or doesn't have knowledge. No. But his dissatisfaction was coming. It was inspired by Krishna himself, actually. Why? Because Vyasadeva had not given clearly the road that glorify the Supreme Lord, engage in devotional service. Because he wrote so much literature, it's not easy. The Vedas are so vast. He wrote it and then compiled it into four, divided it into four, then Puranas, Upanishads, Mahabharata. That's a lot of work, lot of work. And there were no typewriters also, no computers. Like Ganesh helped him write the Mahabharata, for example, So there's a lot of work he did. And so he's like, why am I still feeling dissatisfied? Because he did not write any literature which is directly glorifying the Supreme Lord, directly glorifying devotional service to the Supreme Lord, a literature which is meant for the Paramhamsas who want to glorify the Supreme Lord. Because here, as we are saying, that in the transcendental service of the Lord, everything is tangible without any separate attempt at further work or empiric philosophical speculation. Because devotional service is the only thing that can truly satisfy the heart. So that's why he's feeling that, oh, I didn't point this out clearly because people are just going to get confused. I've given so much work, people will not know what is the objective. You know, like it's very difficult to understand Krishna by studying the Vedas because Vedas are very vast. It's not clearly pointing out. So one may say Mahabharata, but Mahabharata also one may not understand clearly because one may get caught up in the story. So that's why he's feeling this satisfaction. And now Narad Muni is coming and we can hear tomorrow the conversation between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva. Did anyone have any questions or comments? Did anyone want to add anything?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
The
Krishna.
part states that devotional service is not accessible to the monist. So it means
Mhm.
because we don't believe in the personal devotion. I mean, right? Devotion.
Personal form of the
itself.
Lord, that God is a
Personal
person.
form.
That's right.
Right? So
Yes.
that's what it means, right? Okay.
Yes, that's right. So automatically, because they have no faith, they're not going to engage in devotional service. They don't have any knowledge that God is a person.
So they said they are not counted amongst the params.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare